Hello, welcome back to another video. Today, I wanted to talk about dog ownership or like pet ownership when you have a chronic illness. This is something that I've been thinking about since I got my dog. For a quick backstory, if you want to know like everything about Zeus, I do have a video about him, like a get to know him kind of thing on my Patreon, so if you join you can get access to that. But quick backstory, I've had Zeus since he was a baby, since he was like 6 months old, not 6 months, 6 weeks old. And for the first 2 years of his life, I lived with my parents, so I lived with him. And then I moved out and I couldn't take care of him in the way that I think he deserved to be taken care of because I was at dance school and it was just like too much for me to deal with. He stayed with my parents, and about a year and a half ago, me and my partner have started talking about him living with us. But there was a bunch of reasons why we were postponing it, which I will get into throughout the video. So now he lives with us and he's been with us for like the last 2.5 months, I think. Let's get started. Mostly I'm going to talk about having a dog, specifically because I don't own a cat, and I think it's completely different to have a cat than it is to have a dog, in terms of the amount of care and attention and physical exercise that it demands. And I am not going to go into too much detail about having a puppy because that is not the experience that I'm having right now, because obviously Zeus is 5. I was the one who trained him. Everything he knows, it was me who taught him. So if you are thinking about getting a puppy, then it's worth considering that for the first like few months to a year of that dog ownership, or that experience is going to be very different to what it will be like in the future. So obviously Zeus is 5 now, so he's a lot more calm, and he's just like not as outgoing as he used to be, or not as like energetic as he used to be. He's still like, he's not a super high energy dog, but he's still quite energetic, and he likes to go for a run, and he likes to sprint, and he needs to exercise. So it's good to have in mind, to keep in mind that you need to keep up with them to a certain degree. So that's why I'm making this video, because I think that it really, I'm not saying you should or shouldn't get a dog. Obviously that's up for you to decide, but I think that if you are considering getting an animal, whatever animal that is, a fish or a dog or a cat or a bird or a reptile, whatever it is, you need to give that animal the best life that you can possibly give them. And if you are not in a situation financially or physically or emotionally where you can give them that, then it's not prudent, in my opinion, to get an animal, because you won't be giving them the best life that they can possibly have. I think you need to give them a good life, and if you can't, then that's okay. You need to work towards a place where you can. So that's what I did. I knew that if I wasn't healthy enough to be able to take him on walks and to keep up with that. So I worked hard on my endurance and on my physical ability to be able to do that, and now I can, and it makes me happy that I can do that. Obviously, when you get a puppy, they're gonna pee on things, and they're gonna have to go through their teeth, and they're gonna want to chew on stuff, and they don't know anything, and you have to teach them all the rules and all that. So that's gonna be an ordeal and a half. Even after you've trained your dog, and they know the rules and all that, there is always going to be like daily discipline and daily like reminding them of the rules, reinforcing the good behaviors and snubbing out bad behaviors, especially if you adopt a dog that is already an adult dog, who's house trained and stuff, but still will need to get used to the rules of your house. There's going to be daily reinforcement of the rules, daily like having to get them to sleep off the couch and to like do things, whatever the rules are. That can be quite tiring, and there are days where I'm just like, oh my god, I know, because he's a very smart dog. He will take me on my bad days, letting him do stuff as like, okay, so I'm just gonna try and do this every day. So on bad days, I sometimes do just let him do whatever he wants kind of thing, and then when I'm back to my normal self, I have to go back to reinforcing the rules. But it's important with dogs that they really like routine, and they really like patterns, and things should be always the same. So with Zeus, what I find is that it was hard at the beginning to get him to respect the wake up time. So I get up at 8:30, and he, even to this day, doesn't respect that every day. Like, sometimes he waits for the alarm to go off to go into my room and wake me up and be like, come on, we're going out for a walk. But a lot of times he will try to wake me up like 5 minutes before. And if I let him do that for a few days, he'll start waking me up earlier because he wants attention and he's bored and he wants me to be with him. So there's all sorts of things like that. And I think that if you don't have, like, if you can't do that, then maybe not a good idea. Like I said, it really depends from situation to situation. So only you know your kind of situation. So I think it would be totally different. Like, and I would have had a dog way before this if I lived like in a house with a yard, where I could just open the door and let him go out and do his business and not worry about it. But I live in an apartment, so that's not possible. Even though I have a relatively big balcony where he can walk around and sunbathe, that's something that stopped me from having him before because I knew that I could, like, that I didn't have the space to just do that. However, if you do live in a house where you can just, you know, you have a yard, you have a space, where he can go burn out his energy on his own, totally different story. Then your energy levels don't really come into play with that. But if you are in a situation like me where you need to go out and walk your dog every day, twice a day, then it's completely different, because I think there's a difference between me being able to manage a walk 3 times a week and me being able to manage 2 or 3 walks a day every day. Another factor, which is, do you live by yourself? Do you live with your parents or with housemates or with a partner that can help you or will help you with the responsibility of owning a dog, of having a dog? I obviously live with a partner, and we do share the responsibility. We share the chores, we share the like cleanup, we share the walks and stuff. And if we're well enough, we both will go on as many walks as we can because we enjoy spending that time with him and together. And we found that it's a good time to like talk and catch up with each other and to discuss things that have been on our minds and just to get closer to each other. So we found that that's a really nice time that we've enjoyed bonding over. A lot of times one of us is busy or tired or not feeling well or working, and the other one will have to take the sole responsibility of going on the walk. It really depends, but if I'm not feeling well, then he can take the dog and I'm not worried about that. The reason we didn't do this before was because I wasn't well enough to do my half of the responsibility, so I didn't think it was fair that I should get all the benefits of having a dog, especially because I'm home alone. Well, not alone now, we're both home, but because I was working from home and I would spend a lot of time at home by myself. Obviously, I knew I would get a lot of benefits from having an animal companion, but I didn't think that it was fair that I should get all the benefits and my partner should get all the responsibility with having to be the one exercising the dog by himself, because I knew that I wasn't healthy enough to do my part. Obviously, we both get benefits from having the dog. Dogs are really good companions. They understand you. They respect your boundaries oftentimes. Like they can just tell when you're feeling down and they're just there for you. It's this bond that's really hard to describe, but they really give you a lot and don't ask for much in return. Other things that you need to consider, so especially when you have a puppy, is the physical exertion, not only of walking them and training them and all that, but also of cleanup. So because Zeus is house trained, we don't have like an extensive amount of cleanup in the house due to him, but he does shed a lot. Obviously there's going to be fur on everything, so there's rules on what he can sleep on, but he will have exceptions. Like when I have a migraine and I'm in bed all day, he can sleep in bed with me during those days, but we put a cover on the bed so that he's not leaving fur on the bed. So the cleanup that is involved with Zeus is the fact that I have the balcony door open all day, every day pretty much, so he can go in and out as he pleases. So that means that he does bring a little bit of dust inside, and also there's dust in the air. So because the windows are always open, there's going to be more dust in the house, so that's gonna mean more cleaning for me. But to be honest, it's not that much more than what I already was used to, because I've always been a fan of having all my windows open in the house anyway. So there's like dusting, there's cleaning the floors every day, which I didn't have to do before on like a daily basis. But something that I use is a Swiffer, so I have a dusting one, and I have one for the floors, and basically I just go around once a day with the Swiffer and just clean the floors, and all the fur gets attached to the Swiffer, and yeah, that's a really easy way to clean up. So make sure that you know that you're getting yourself into that. If your dog is not house trained, then you're gonna have to clean up their poops and pees if they do them in the house. So that's something worth considering. Another thing that I've noticed is that he obviously eats in the kitchen, and sometimes he tries to run away with his snacks. So he'll make a little bit of a mess, so I have to clean the kitchen floors a little bit more often. And I found as well that obviously because I'm going out to parks and things like that, I bring more stuff in my shoes. So the entryway where I change my shoes into like my house slippers and stuff has more like dirt and mud and bits of leaves and grass on it, so I have to clean that more often. He also has to have his paws cleaned before we come into the house. So yeah, we make sure to clean him and to disinfect his paws before we get in, not only because of COVID, but also because of like other stuff that might be on the floor. We don't know. Other things that obviously are worth considering is the financial cost of having a dog, because obviously you have to feed them, you have to vaccinate them, treat them if there's anything wrong with them. For us here, it's mandatory that like they have mandatory shots, they have a mandatory chip, and there's also a fee that we have to pay the council, a yearly fee that we have to pay to the council for him to like be able to be outside. Leashes and like harnesses and toys and beds and blankets and things like that. And there's then his other things that are kind of mandatory for like, because whenever we visit our family, he stays at a dog hotel, so he has to have like a bunch of other things that aren't mandatory for him to be at home, but are mandatory for him to be in a place like that. So he has to have extra shots, and he also has to like repellent for ticks and fleas and mosquitoes, and another like thingy that he takes for like worms and stuff like that. So you have to be able to pay for that stuff, and you have to give it I think his like repellent is once a month, and the other one is every 4 months. So there's stuff like that that needs to be taken into consideration. Obviously a dog is most expensive when they're a puppy and then when they're old. So Zeus is not terribly expensive now, but obviously I give him good quality food, or I try to, because I know that that will extend his life, and it will make it so that I don't have to pay more fees in the future. Yeah, just giving them good quality of life can be a financial burden. And I know that a lot of us can't work or have a hard time working, and it is another financial expense that you have to consider. So it's important to do the math and to make sure that you are up for that, because it can be a lot of money, especially if you don't have a lot of it. It can stack up quite fast. So then there's like grooming and stuff. So I take him to get a bath. I don't do it myself because of my back pain, and like I don't know how to clip his nails, so I have to get somebody else to do that. So there's all of these things that like expenses that you have to consider, and that even like cleaning supplies, like I have to buy the Swiffer covers. You have to add all that stuff up that maybe you wouldn't be having to use before, and you wouldn't be having to invest money in before. So there's a myriad of expenses that you're going to have to consider. Other things like making your house dog safe, like do you have plants that are poisonous to dogs? If you do, and you have a dog that likes sniffing plants and biting them and going into the dirt and stuff, then that might be a problem. I personally have a dog who does not give two hoots about any plants whatsoever. It really depends like what kind of dog you have. It will be different. If you do get a puppy and you're considering training them, or even if you have an older dog and that's something that you're wanting to do, I really recommend Zach George. He has a YouTube channel where he teaches people how to train their dogs in a humane and ethical way, which I'm very much a fan of. So yeah, there's like a lot of things that you do need to consider, and it is something that you're going to spend a lot of time and energy on. It is really rewarding, and it is something that, like, I think that if you've never had a dog, you definitely should have a dog at some point in your life, because dogs are such amazing creatures, and they've been bred over like thousands of years to be so in tune with people and to really be dependent on you and to have like a really two-way relationship. So it's a really incredible experience, and I can tell you that my partner had never had a dog. Zeus is his first dog, and he's like, I don't know how to put it into words, and I don't know how to explain it to people who don't have a dog, but there's just something about having a dog that just makes you feel happy and fulfilled and good. I found that I lost some of my weight that I've put on with medications through walking him, because I walk him twice a day, pretty much, sometimes 3 times a day. On days when he's feeling a bit more like antsy and he's got a little bit more energy, I'll walk him 3 times a day, so that is a lot of walking. And normally I walk him for like half an hour, 45 minutes each time. Get a lot of like cuddles and a lot of love from him. He keeps me company. He keeps me on my schedule. He keeps me on my sleep schedule, because we go to bed at that time and we wake up at that time, and we have like this, our schedules are synced. He reminds me to drink water, because every time he goes to his bowl and he's like super loudly drinking water like a camel, I'm like, oh, I should drink more water today. He reminds me to be outside in the sun for a little bit every day. Like, he 100% knows when I'm not doing so well, and he sticks by me like 100% of the time. So if I'm having like a normal day where I don't feel unwell, I'm just having my regular good days, he kind of keeps to himself, goes outside and sunbathes, then he comes back inside, then he goes back outside, then he comes back inside, and he like does his thing. If I'm having a bad day, he walks after me. He's like with me in every room, like everywhere I go to like drop something in the kitchen, he will go with me, and he's like always next to me and always like watching me, and I can tell that he's like taking care of me. It's really nice to, when you go on walks with them, because you get to meet people who also have dogs, and you talk to people, and then kids will want to come up and pet them, and that's really sweet because you get to talk to them, and they're really like I don't know, it makes me happy. Yeah, it's a super rewarding experience, but I do think it is something that you need to take with knowing that for the, like, dogs live for a long time. It can be 8 to 20 years, I think. It really depends on the dog breed and, like, if they have health issues. So it really, you need to think about it in a very practical and cold way before you actually get the dog. And there's no problem in kind of waiting for the right time, trying to prepare yourself for when you can. So yeah, I think it's really easy for us to get kind of drawn into having a dog because they're so cute, and get all these cute photos for Instagram, and like, you know, they do really cute things, and they do make you laugh, and they do keep you company, but you have to be able to, you know, do everything else, and it can get really frustrating when you're training them because they don't know everything, and you need to like repeat the same thing hundreds of times before they learn it, and before they do it every time without like complaint, without, you know, pushing back. So it can get really frustrating, and you have to know how to manage that, which is a skill that you will take on and use for other stuff, but it definitely is something that you have to know that you're getting yourself into, kind of thing. Okay. Oh, we have our little boy, star of our show. They really are your best friend, but yeah, it's important to give them a good life. It's you, look. It's like, yeah, I know, but just give me pets. So yeah, that is everything for today. I hope you didn't take this video as like a don't get a dog, because I'm the biggest fan of dogs. Like, I love dogs, and I cannot see a dog and not get excited. Like, it's impossible for me. This is his favorite thing. Like, this right here. Okay, so that is everything for today. Sorry if this video was like really long. So if you did enjoy it, please don't forget to leave it a like and a comment and consider subscribing to my channel. It would mean a lot to me, and Zeus would be pretty happy with that too. You can also consider becoming a member on Patreon to get extra content and to help me keep this channel going. I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a good day. Stay safe out there, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.